In Singapore, a domestic helper was charged with murdering her friend, as well as her friend child's boss. Despite the evidence released to prove she's innocent, she was still sentenced to death. Who is she? And what is the truth behind these events? Before she was finally sentenced to death, let's meet Flor Contemplacion, the Filipino domestic helper who was sentenced to death in Singapore. Before we start our story, if you are new to this channel, don't forget to click subscribe, and don't forget to like this video, so that you are always updated with life amazing stories. Flor Contemplacion is a Filipino domestic helper, born on January 7, 1950, in San Pablo City, Laguna. She only came from a poor family, so she did not finish school, and her time was only devoted to working at her young age. Despite this, she had a wife who was also a worker like her, and blessed their relationship with 4 children. Because of the growing expenses on the children, as well as the cost of educating them, the couple realized that their income was not enough. So, the couple decided to let Flor work as a maid in another country, to earn more money. Although it was a great sacrifice to be away from her family, especially her children. With the help of her husband's mother, she was able to work in Singapore as a maid. When Flor arrives in Singapore, she saw how difficult the lives of domestic helpers like her. They can't leave the house, and the only way they can get out of the house is when they deliver and pick up her child's boss from school. In addition, she saw the abuse faced by her fellow domestic helpers. She found out here that the others were being abused by their boss. Others are not fed or confined at home, others are harmed, and the worst is others are treated badly. Despite this fact, Flor did nothing but suffer in exchange for the little money that she will send to his family every month. When Flor finished her 2-year contract, she felt happy. She can finally go home to his family again. But before she went on vacation, her boss told and asked that, if possible, she should come back and work again for 2 more years. Because his mistress will give birth and no one will be able to take care of their child. Because of this, Flor agreed to the request of her bosses, and said that she would return after her 1-month vacation in the Philippines. To Flor's great fears, she didn't tell her family in the Philippines that she was going home. She wants to surprise them. But hidden from her knowledge, she is the one who will be shocked by a big secret. When Flor arrived at their house in the Philippines, her children were surprised. She hugged them tightly out of sheer longing for them. He quickly took off his welcome clothes and handed them over. But her children said that they still have a lot of new clothes from a woman named Tia or Auntie Neneng. Flor was surprised by what she heard, so she asked her mother, and here she found out that her husband had a partner in another house. In anger, she attacked and fought with her husband. She also reached her husband's new wife here. Flor kicked the two in anger. She was very sad, because despite her sacrifices in a distant place to earn money, he still managed to cheat them. In addition, her children became estranged from her, because her children did not get along with them. She often scolds them, because of their habits. The vacation that Flor had hoped for, to rest and breathe easy, turned into sadness and anger. Because of his unexpected experience in his own family. As a result, after her 1-month vacation, Flor decided to return to Singapore. As she had promised her employers, to end the last contract, and return to the Philippines, to reunite her family. When Flor arrives in Singapore, Flor still has the bitter memories of her vacation. And to forget it, she just amused himself with household chores. She worked all day, and she rarely went out. Due to extreme fatigue, her epilepsy returned. On the other hand, there is an incident with her one friend, which will destroy all her dreams. On May 4, 1991, a friend of her who was also a domestic helper, Delia Maga, died. It was strangled with a rope, while her child's boss was also lifeless, and its face was sunk in a bucket that filled with water. And as a result of the police investigation, they read Delia's diary, which found Flor's name and address in Singapore. So, Flor is one of the main suspects for this crime. Because of this, the police arrested Flor, and she admitted the crime she committed. When she confessed, she said she visited Delia on the morning of the incident. From behind Delia, she allegedly approached her and strangled her with a rope. Then, she saw her child's boss inside the CR, and she drowned it in a bucket. She allegedly stole some belongings from Delia, and then she left the scene. Consequently, Flor Contemplacion was sentenced to death by hanging. This news grabbed the attention of the Philippine media, even other country. For those who know Flor, they are very shocked. Because they know Flor is a good person, and she can't do those things. But they could do nothing for her, but with the help of her mother's friend in Singapore. The case was reopened and they stood as witnesses, to defend their friend Flor. One of her friends said that Flor was with her on the day of the crime. She said that they were together in the hospital, at that time, because Flor's epilepsy was allegedly attacking. They showed medical documents, confirming their claims. But the court did not accept this, and said that Flor's only illness was migraine. As a result, she was found guilty again, and his execution will continue. In addition, a domestic helper came forward, who wanted to help her. Her boss is the brother of the child's victim. She allegedly heard what they were talking about. She found out that due to Delia's negligence, the child allegedly drowned and died. And because of the anger of the child's parents, they killed Delia, so that they would not be imprisoned. The suspect they pointed out was Flor Contemplacion. They taught them to the police that Flor killed Delia and their child. Meanwhile, Flor broke her silence, saying that she was not the perpetrator of the crime. And she took back the confession she had made at first. She said that the police tortured her, and told her to confess the crime, so she was able to confess, even against his will. Despite these events, they still did not succeed in rescuing Flor, as a result of which the Philippine embassy in Singapore was criticized. Due to the entirety of the hearings in Flor's case, not a single consul of Philippine embassy was present to support Flor. And the worst, they did not even provide a lawyer to fight the case. The lawyers, who helped to defend Flor, came from the Philippines and were just volunteers, who were also assisted by various organizations. A few months later, the Philippine government helped Flor's children fly to Singapore, to see her at the last minute. Here, she says, she is innocent of all the accusations against her. And Singapore cannot destroy its identity. Her children did nothing but grieve and cry. Because of too much worry for their mother's safety. Because they knew, in spite of this, they would only count days, and their mother would be hanged. Although Flor's case became famous all over the world, President Ramos did not hesitate, at that time, to help Flor. He wrote several times to the President of Singapore, to ask for consideration, but he did not listen. He also tried to intimidate them, and said he would sever ties with their country. However, the country of Singapore has not been shaken. Despite all this, the execution of Flor Contemplacion, which took place on March 17, 1995, continued. Flor's death has caused widespread protests in Philippine country. In the anger of the Filipinos, they burned the flags of Singapore, in revolt against what had happened to Flor. In addition, the leaders of the Department of Foreign Affairs resigned from the position, also embarrassed from the controversy. When Flor's death body arrived in the Philippines, they were met by thousands of Filipinos and brought to their hometown. For Filipinos, Flor is a victim of unfair justice. But after Flor's execution, another fact emerged. According to the autopsy on Delia's body, her skull was cracked and her neck was crushed. And based on Flor's body, she can't do this kind of damage to Delia's body, because she doesn't have enough strength to do that. Despite this, it is too late. So, for the Filipino people, Flor Contemplacion is just the victim and there is no real guilt in the eyes of the law. Ultimately, we will always remember the sacrifices made by our loved ones, emigrating other country to give us a better future. Especially our parents, who laid down their lives, in exchange for the money we receive every month. Let us be grateful to them, and let us not throw away and forget their labors. Because our OFWs are the modern heroes today in our Philippine country. Thank you for watching.